Veterans re-entering civilian life face many challenges, including finding a job. Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Welcome to this edition of Military Makeover Operation Career. Today, inspirational stories of former servicemen and women who have reinvented themselves and are thriving at companies who value their unique skills. A nationwide leader in post-frame manufacturing and construction, Morton Buildings is an employee-owned company that's been around for 120 years. They understand that it takes hard work, quality materials, and teamwork to build structures that last, which is the main reason Morton connects with veterans who are all too familiar with those principles.
My name is Sean Kane. I am the president and CEO of Morton Buildings. We are a 120-year-old company, originally began as a fencing company in 1903, known as Interlocking Fence Company. We are a vertically integrated company, so at Morton Buildings, we sell the building, we design the building, we manufacture the building, we ship the building, and we construct the building, like a horse barn, to a single-family residence, to a machine storage type building, to a church, all in-house with our own employee owners. I was in the United States Navy for a little over 5 years. I was a DC-2, which means I was a damage controlman, second-class petty officer, like a firefighter. And I joined the Navy to serving my country, giving back a little bit, attaining the leadership and the other skills that you'd get in the military.
I'm a senior foreman at Morton Buildings in Sheridan, Wyoming. Me and my friends were really patriotic. I think there were 6 of us that left in the same year. And I joined the Marine Corps. It was basically just something that I always wanted to do since I was a little kid. So when we went to Iraq, I was point man, so I led the company in, searching for IEDs. I joined in 05 and I did 4 years and got out in 09. I decided to leave the Marine Corps because I was married and we had our first child, so I want to be close to home.
I joined the Army in high school, actually after seeing my brother graduate from basic. I knew I wanted to follow him. Family is huge to me. And I spent 10.5 years in the Army. I loved it, very passionate about the military. I was a welder, machinist. I also was airborne, jumped out of airplanes. It's probably the hardest choice I made to get out. Felt like I was going to do that forever. It came to a point where I was thinking more of family back home.
So I spent about 4 years in the Army Reserves, which is just a little bit different than the National Guard. And then I went and I spent about 2 years in the National Guard for the state of Wyoming. And in both places I was a 68 Whiskey, which is a combat medic. I decided to join the Army Reserves because I felt like I could do more and I knew that I was capable of doing more and helping other people.
I'm Gina Lopez Montague, Field Recruiting Supervisor, and I'm also a Marine Corps mom. I am responsible for finding talent, and we always strive to seek exceptional talent out in the field. And we partner with the military. We have several veterans on this job site here in Sheridan, Wyoming, and most of them come to us from the Marines or the Army.
Morton Buildings operates over 100 construction centers and multiple manufacturing plants across the country. So there are a number of positions available for dedicated veterans looking to transition into a rewarding career in construction.
Our veterans have dedicated a significant portion of their lives into serving our country. I have a son that is currently active duty, and I certainly want to make sure that there's places for people like him and others to go with open arms and ready to help them make that transition when they decide to do so.
We have a structured program at Morton Buildings. It's called the Morton 36. So whether we hire someone from the military who may or may not have experience in construction, we are going to train them day one. The first day they're out here on a job site like this, they will learn from their foreman. And we offer other programs in the company. And the bottom line is we want them to grow.
Vets should consider a career at Morton Buildings because of the structure that it has. I think it makes it a little bit easier to transition, and because of the opportunities.
What you give is what you get with Morton. The benefits are awesome. Also, another great thing about Morton is they're an ESOP company, which makes me a part owner, and I receive stock every year.
Working at Morton Buildings is like being in the military, where each one of us gets to be an integral piece of the puzzle, and we all get to work towards building quality buildings with each other. And when we're done, it's great to see the final product.
One of the largest airlines you've probably never heard of, Envoy Air, operates more than 700 flights daily, and get this, employs over 19,300 employees across North America. As a subsidiary of American Airlines Group, they're committed to excellence, and that includes recruiting and hiring military vets.
Hi, I'm Captain Rick Wilson, Vice President of Flight Operations at Envoy Air. We're here today in my office at Envoy Headquarters, campus of all our administrative and flight and training facilities. I'm responsible for all flight operations, for the safety and efficiency of those operations for Envoy Air, which is 1,000 daily flights across the country, Canada, Mexico, and down into the Caribbean and tip of South America. Operations entail everything from initial flight training as we onboard new pilots to recurrent flight training, as well as all the technical support for flight operations, liaisoning with the FAA, with the airplane manufacturer, with all the other departments within the company. The reason I believe that hiring veterans is great for the company business is the skills that are learned in the military service directly translate to everything that you need to be successful in commercial aviation. And we can't forget that the birth of commercial aviation came from the military.
I'm Tiana Lofberg, the manager of payroll automation at Envoy Air. My teams handle the payroll for domestic employees as well as the configuration of our timekeeping system for ground. I didn't come from a family background or history of the military, but it was always on my heart to support the troops, and I thought what better way than to join and serve the U.S. Navy. I served 4 years with the Navy as an aviation electrician's mate, where I worked on electrical systems on the F-18 Foxtrots. I also worked as my squadron as a troubleshooter, doing final checks on the aircraft prior to flight. My squadron was attached to the aircraft carrier, the Carl Vinson. I was deployed with my squadron in support of Operation Enduring Freedom off of the coast of Afghanistan. I decided to leave the Navy because I was ready to settle down, get married, and have a family, and I didn't want to do that as active duty. When I got out, I knew I wanted to stay aviation. The industry has always been fascinating from my days with the Navy. So I really just looked around for different jobs and different companies and did a lot of research on what companies I wanted to work for. And I also thought it was important that I started at a company that I can build and grow with. And so I applied, and luckily I was able to be welcome aboard on Envoy.
My name is James Ferguson, and I'm an aircraft maintenance technician with Envoy Air. I joined the Army for a couple of different reasons. One, I have family history with it. The second was I've always wanted to work on aircraft. So I joined the Army as a UH-60 helicopter mechanic, and I was able to serve almost 13 years in the Army active duty while working on helicopters my entire time. When I had to transition from the military life to the civilian life, it was not easy. We were really starting to have a lot of struggles, myself more mentally than physically, with having to get into a new mindset and having to find my new purpose. I found out about Envoy through a friend of mine who is now a coworker. He works here, and he told me about the MTP, which is the Military Transition Program. It was a program where the company was able to fly me down to Dallas and pay for all of my testing and the oral and practical evaluations I needed to get my airframe and power plant certifications and become a maintenance tech with this company.
I'm Susan Ramke, and I'm an aircraft maintenance technician for Envoy Air. I joined the Army in 2007. I was kind of following in my dad's footsteps. He worked on Hueys in the Army. I kind of went the Black Hawk route, so we both worked on helicopters. I did about 4 years, mainly stationed at Fort Hood, did a 15-month tour in Iraq. So after I left the military, I kind of jumped jobs a little bit, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, figure out my purpose. I realized that that wasn't going to sustain my family, so I went ahead and pursued my bachelor's degree in business. After getting that, I realized I really miss mechanics, and I was talking to my stepmother, and she is also an airline mechanic. She suggested, why don't you look at the airlines and see what kind of programs they offer. So that day I found Envoy's military transition program, and I went ahead and applied, got my NP license, and started on the job pretty much the same day after getting it. The Army helped prepare me for Envoy by helping me learn how to work in a team and how to communicate and get the mission accomplished.
Eric Coulter, First Officer for Envoy Air here in Dallas-Fort Worth. We're here in one of our flight simulator buildings where we come for initial training and then for recurrent training annually. I joined the U.S. Air Force in 2002 and wanted to fly airplanes. Was fortunate enough to go fly initially C-130s in mobility. So I deployed 3 times to the Iraqi theater of operations and then twice to Afghanistan. Then moved over to the special operations side of things. Left active duty in 2015 after 13 years. Was starting to have a family, had a newborn, and just wanted to have a little bit more stable life. I had friends that worked at Envoy, and talking to them, they had a lot of positive things to say, both about the training program and about kind of the lifestyle, and so it made it a really easy choice to come to Envoy.
I'm Carol Dow. I'm a captain at Envoy Airlines. So we are currently located in an Envoy trainer, a 175 mock-up of the aircraft that we use. It's used for both pilots and flight attendants, mostly for the flight attendants to do their in-flight services, but for the pilots we use it to know where the safety equipment is and for evacuation purposes. I was commissioned in the Army in 1983 as a sophomore in college. I went all the way through and joined the Transportation Corps with the Army in 1986. Learned all about transportation, trucks, boats, airplanes, and how to load them, how to manage them. I was an officer during that time frame, still am. Actually, I have 1 month to go before I retire. So it's been 20 years that I've been in the military. Flying and transportation is primarily a man's world. Envoy Air, they have always pushed to try to get the best out of us. They push for merit, regardless of whether you are a woman or whether you are black or whether you are Hispanic. It's kind of nice because they don't look at you as a woman. They look at you as, can you do the job?
Envoy Air has daily flights to over 160 destinations across North America, so there's always positions available, such as maintenance technician, customer service, flight attendant, and pilots for dedicated veterans looking for a rewarding career in aviation.
Aviation, it's a great career path. Veterans should consider a career here at Envoy. We have many opportunities, not just for pilots on the flight deck. We're able to provide flexible scheduling and military leave to support your activities, either as an active or a reserve service member.
Vets bring to the table a work ethic that is generally unmatched in the current population. The important thing is coming to work on time, coming to work in uniform, and coming to work prepared.
What I enjoy about working at Envoy really is the amount of growth and opportunities, and leadership really does their best to try and encourage you to find those opportunities.
So I think veterans should consider Envoy. It's almost like an extension of the military. It's like a family.
I think one of the ways that Envoy shows how they care about their veterans is through something like the military transition program. Not only set them up for success with the company, but set them up for success in life.
State government can offer a wide array of employment opportunities for those who have a passion for public service. That's why veterans are a perfect fit for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
My background in the military started when I began college in fall of 2001, and unfortunately September 11th happened. it inspired me to want to serve and do what I could and sign up for the military in January of 2002. I had completed my 8 years of service, and I had moved from private up to staff sergeant happily, and was able to start a family with my husband, and then applied, interviewed, and accepted a position at the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation as a civil engineer.
I'm Joe Lawler. I'm a veteran of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard. I served from 1989 until 1995. I currently work as the Assistant Director of Nursing at Southwestern Veterans Center.
So one thing that's inherent in all of our veterans is a commitment to service. So those skills are transferable, and I think any sector of business would like those skills to be a part of their organization. So especially in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it's an opportunity to continue your public service. So you can come in and you apply some of that commitment that you've had, that you've experienced while you were in the military, and then you can feel like you're a part of a team. Because in the Commonwealth, there are so many different agencies that we all have to come together for a common goal, and so that inspires you to be a team member. There are plenty of opportunities in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're a multi-agency Commonwealth, so we have services in public health, public safety, and education, and we have people building roads across all of Pennsylvania. So there are so many career paths that military veterans can take on coming over to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
It was an easy transition. Really, here it feels like a family. We, in the military, you fight for the people back at home, no matter what your job is. And in the Department of Transportation here, we fight for the people that use the roadways to make sure that they are as safe and as efficient as possible for them to get, where they need to be and be home safely at the end of the night. Since I've started here, I've had a large amount of opportunities for growth. At the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, specifically at the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, there are so many trainings. They're very supportive of us getting our professional engineering licensure, and I think that goes really for any type of licensure that you need for your profession to grow.
My time in the National Guard gave me some confidence. It was a part of my life where I learned a lot of new skills. I did a lot of new things. I met a lot of new people. I learned how to deal with people and how to communicate better. And I think that kind of set me up, gave me the confidence to do things in the future, such as nursing, that I hadn't ever done before, but I felt confident that I could achieve it. It's very meaningful to me to continue my service through my current role. I'm not actively engaged in the armed forces anymore, but I've always had a soft spot for veterans, and working at Southwest Veterans Center gives me the opportunity to be surrounded by them every day to help serve our veterans who need some help.
So often, our military veterans are nervous about the transition out of the military service, but know that they have the skill sets that every agency wants. They're committed to service, they are mission focused, they have objectives that they would like to accomplish, and for organizations that do that well, that say that well, and they'll be attracted to that. And so I know in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, state government, we have a welcome mat for our veterans to come cross the threshold and come into this organization and do well. Pennsylvania is veteran friendly. We have a Welcome Home PA website that we can direct our veterans to that connects them to mentors. It also has an educational enrichment information. It talks about how we have other support services. Another thing about Pennsylvania is that we have about 92% of our positions do not require a college degree. And we have positions that range from entry-level technical positions and managerial positions as well. So that's a reason to come to Pennsylvania and stay in Pennsylvania.
Great to see that after sacrificing so much to their military service, today's veterans have found careers where they've been able to shine. I'm Montel Williams. I want to thank you so much for joining us in this episode of Military Makeover Operation Career. We'll see you next time.